Rent,
Specific.
rent. Me know say me attack Jamaica and that, but rent. Okay. Rent, right? Why? Why? Me I look for places in Jamaica for rent and them in a US dollars. What that for? Me I make US dollar? You know, it go like this. Poverty. Poverty a whole then you get to you. Alright. Today we are watch. What are we watch? Why isn't Gen Z growing up? By Sono Jordan. Okay. Wagwan. Why them not grow up? What's going on? Maybe what I say?
The reason why Gen Z has such a hard time with growing up is because Gen Z does not have any of the milestones past generations have.
What happens when an entire generation of people cannot enter a job market because entry-level jobs have collapsed?
Nearly everyone I've talked to recently is just like, yeah,
Work thing
I
again,
can't
the
really
same,
afford groceries.
the same work thing. We not work. So where go to school for? Where go to school for? Cause if we what? But okay.
Person in America under the age of 35 will never be able to afford a home.
What happens when an entire generation doesn't grow up?
Gen Z have no
We just scam on thief.
reason to believe that they're ever going to have economic security.
What's the point of planning a future when everything is falling apart?
I've been forced to drop out of university because I simply can't afford to keep studying.
I don't think our generation can budget their way out of this.
Gen Zer says they'll need more than $500,000 a year to feel successful.
At this point, I seriously think Gen Z
I
is
don't
just
lie.
screwed.
I don't lie.
Why isn't Gen Z growing up? If you've encountered a Gen Z person recently and somehow convinced them to like you,
Yeah, Gen Z. You feel pretty grown. Not financially, but you know, mentally, physically, financially. Why?
they might have shared one of their most sacred Z person recently and somehow convinced them to like you. They might have shared one of their most sacred and beloved cultural traditions with you, complaining about how awful everything is.
Help wanted.
Only
for boomers and not Gen Z. My two
Life
new
rough.
cashiers quit because I said their boyfriends couldn't stand here for their entire shift.
And I, being a short-form brain rot-loving Zoomer who has also spoken to other Zoomers, at least the ones who have developed language, am seeing a huge increase in this lingering sense of hopelessness that's been permeating in the air. A kind of apathy. A kind of general disconnect from societal expectations. And while it's easy to just call Gen Z something like lazy, and I'll be the first to admit, it's pretty fun to do that too, if you take a moment to dig deeper into what's going on, you'll see that there are some pretty serious issues. They don't own houses, they're not married, they don't have kids. Many aren't even sure what they want to do with their lives. It kind of seems like Gen Z's life is just a sad TikTok edit.
And everybody want married though. I think at time we can take marriage out of the equation like that, and everybody want married. It's not like a marker right now.
It's on an endless looping cycle. And as a Zoomer, it seems like somewhere in the back of their mind, there's this quiet nagging voice that's just constantly talking to them. It's a quiet
like it no mean success. Like, oh, that's it no mean success. Not to me at least, when I think it means success.
Disheartening feeling that by this age, they should be further. I mean, if we go back, our parents were buying homes at 25 years old. They were starting families at 27, starting wars by 30.
27 is some bad, but right now, I don't know if I can make it to 27 at all. Can I make it to the 27? I don't know, I don't think I can make it to 27. As in, start all of them things about it. I can make some miracle. This thing I have to go work out, everything I have to go work out.
I mean, for example, recently I've been watching a show called Cheers, which for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a show that takes place in the 80s and 90s in a bar that's in Boston. In this show, there's a waitress at the bar, Carla Tortelli, and one of her gags is pretty much how many children she has. She starts the show with 4 children and then she ends it with 8. The wild part though is that she's able to support all of these children just with the money she makes as a waitress. And compared
a waitress I take care of 8 pitney. That's crazy. That's crazy. I think a waitress could have take care of 1 pitney now in them time.
To today, that's absolutely insane. I mean, you could probably barely keep a pet rock alive if you got paid what she did today. And when my two neurons started to fire and connected these ideas, I began to wonder, if the generations before us were able to reach all of these milestones, why does it feel like Gen Z is stuck? So when I say growing up, I'm not talking about the rite of passage that is watching Nickelodeon and then being able to watch Nick at Night, then consequently falling asleep while watching TV and then waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat to the sound of the George Lopez theme song. I'm talking about reaching the milestones that people have been reaching for generations as they got older. It starts with moving out of your parents' house, then you get a job, you get married, you buy a home, and you have—
Again, that's not a marker anymore.
Kids. Not necessarily in that order, and maybe instead of having kids, you might adopt a feral dog or a highway or something like that. And for decades, most people followed that path. But if you look at where we are now, it's like somebody's playing Sims 4 with the Lovestruck expansion pass, then they went into the settings and turned the silliness up just a notch. Well, it was probably more like 100 notches. 100 notches of silliness turned up. And you know what? They probably changed how our Sims look too, because I've seen a lot of people with unnaturally large— According to the US Census Bureau, about 32% of adults ages 18 to 34 are living with their parents. That's 1.5
That's 3 out of 10. Okay.
million more young adults living with their parents than a decade before. And that's a 6.3% increase, which is more than double the rate of population growth for that age group. So in my brain, it sounds like we're developing a generation of basement dwellers. It's like when Skynet created the—
And even just that, it probably just, other from like cultural differences in a different country and anything, it probably just cheaper. Why else? It probably just cheaper. I think some people just lazy though. Some people need to get up and go look at life and go look at work and all of the thing them. But probably just cheaper, like just cheaper. Just cheaper. For how long? Well, you see, this are the thing. If you're gonna say cheaper and you're not safe, then you just not want nothing out of life then. Because if you're in a cheaper situation and you're not able to put aside some money to save, then you don't care if they're in the situation, then you're well fine. But if you live with a parent and you save up on this and that, because, you know, like all of 5-4 year, which is still kind of a lot, but at them time they would need no, nah, you know, it's like, me not knock that. But if you're just dead there and just I eat up people in food and I burn up people in light bill. Oh man, come on, type people. Come on. But me we hear what I say.
Terminators to take over the world. Except instead of having an army of super cool looking robots, we're gonna get an army of that one guy from South Park who plays World of Warcraft, which is probably more terrifying than the Terminators. On top of that, for the first time in modern history, living with your parents is the most common arrangement for adults under 35. More common than living with a spouse or a partner. Then what about marriage, you may be asking? What about the old ball and chain? The Institute for Family Studies projects that 1/3 of Americans who turn 45 in 2050 will never have married at all. Only 20% of 25-year-old women and 23% of 25-year-old men will have ever married today. And those are close to the lowest numbers ever recorded. But if it makes you feel any better, Batman was never canonically married. So there's hope for you. Except Batman probably also didn't canonically watch 4 hours of brain rot TikToks a day, but that's just me being nitpicky. In 1975, the most common outcome for young adults was reaching all 4 of those milestones. They moved out, they got jobs, they got married, and they had kids. 45% of young people reached all 4 of those. Now let's fast forward to 2024, the year we were blessed with the appearance of Raygun the Breakdancer. In 2024, the most common pathway is just the economic milestones, which that would be working and living independently, but not married and not raising children. And that's now just 28% of adults. So not only are they reaching less of these milestones, there's a lower percentage of them even reaching this lower amount of milestones. But here's the crazy part. These milestones haven't just shifted to be later in life. In many cases, they've disappeared altogether from the Gen Z past. So it's not that they're hitting adulthood milestones slowly, it's that they're hitting a completely different set of milestones. But with all of that being said, I feel like that begs the question. Is this a personal failure or is something else going on?
No man. Alright. Let me tell you what go on. Let me give you the information, okay? So it go like this, right? Alright, let me explain it now. It go like this. Poverty. Poverty I will then get to youths. Really and truly, poverty I will then get to youths. So you're poor, and then everything just get more expensive. Like, alright, me that think about this one there. Alright, minimum wage in America. $15, $16, $16, $14 some places. Yeah, I make that in a 1 hour, right? Alright, I guess probably after tax. Call it $13, $12. 13. How much money them take? I don't know. Call it $10, $13 an hour. Alright, so you take out tax an hour. That's a good amount of Jamaican dollar. But may I say is, even in Jamaica, I see the people them like food and them something there. Them a charge almost the same price as well. Like them a run down the American prices for food and one bag or something. So may I say, oh, that doesn't make sense. That this how them a fuck with, because if me a Jamaica can only make $300 or $250, $300, $400, not even $400 hour, it a go up there. $300 hour, right? Oh, if you charge me the same price or close to the same price to somebody where I make 15 US an hour. So at least in a Jamaica, I see that little thing though, I say, John One Star. So it's either you earn, is either if you survive in a Jamaica, you earn in a US, or you earn so much money to where the common thing them, like the needs like food and housing. I'm not sure about housing yet, but food for sure, and like clothes and things if you buy. It's like, alright. A Clark's of $170 or $150. And me buy one Clark's at Jamaica, right? Why me I pay $25,000 for Clark's? I understand shipping and this and that, and people might import it and them thing there, but the government need to deal with them thing there, so them not have to sell it back to there, because me I pay almost the same when me I pay in a US at Jamaica for the product. I mean I work US dollar. It just, so even just simple thing like that, it just demotivate to get to use them, because what you want me to do? What you want me to do? But me will continue the video.
To afford the medium-priced home in America right now, you need to earn $112,000 a year.
I am not a ghetto youth. I just know in poverty that, but I am not a ghetto youth.
The median US income is about $87,000 a year. If you go into your closet and grab your thinking cap, which I know you may have some trouble finding it because you probably haven't used it in a while, you will find that there is a bit of a discrepancy between the two numbers that are $112,000 and $87,000. And the difference between those two numbers is a lot of Robux. Only 27% of Gen Z owns a home, and when baby boomers were the same age, it was over 40%. Monthly housing payments hit $2,800 at their 2024 peak, which was an all-time high. It was a record. It was in the record books. Mortgage rates more than doubled from their pandemic lows, and if we look at rents and high-cost states...
Brother. Mortgage. Alright, to buy a house, right? 30 odd to 40 odd to get a proper house, like a good house, like probably a 2-bedroom, 30 million, me talking in Jamaican, 30 odd million. Convert that back to Bombard US. No, 300, 200. I don't know if that's right. 30,000. 30 million. 30. Yeah. 150 to at 200 US. Yeah. At 200? I don't know. 200,000. Like, that even make, like, why me a pay same price for your house in a Jamaica? Why? What? I just wickedness, dog. But you know,
like New Jersey and California, 40% is in the record books. Mortgage rates more than doubled from their pandemic lows, And if we look at rents in high-cost states like New Jersey and California, 40% or more of young adults are still living with their parents.
Rent. Me no say me attack Jamaica and that, but rent. Okay. Rent, right? Why? Me I look on places in Jamaica for rent and them in a US dollars. What that for? Me I make US dollar? I mean not even make the equivalent of the US dollar what them people are charge. Like so if me I pay rent in a US dollar, right? So every time a US dollar go up, me I pay more rent, even though when it go down, but that means that me I pay a different bombard rent every month. Suppose something for man the US dollar for go up, so. What got me go pay how much rent that month there? That just me don't know how them work it, but just looking at it, it just look like unfair. Cause why me I pay 1500 US for a 1-bedroom apartment? One bed most of the times 1-bedroom apartment, right? 1500 US 1-bedroom apartment in Kingston. Crazy. Yo, I know say you only gonna get more and more expensive over the years. Cause people have to find some people have to live somewhere. Why, like, I don't know what Jamaica do, dog. Jamaica look like a wall down thing. No, the video is about the US and everything, but it just look like a wall down thing.
Specifically because they can't afford to leave.
For all the idiots that keep commenting, just leave, bro. Just move out. You thought I haven't tried, bro? You thought I haven't never thought about that? You don't just leave or just move out. There's so many variables you gotta be in control of first. First off, in this economy, there's already the rent that you gotta worry about. Everything's hella expensive for no reason. So if you're going for somewhere cheaper, you gotta make sure that's still a safe neighborhood. So I'm trying to find a delicate balance between a good price and somewhat of a safe neighborhood.
And that's just specifically the housing side of things. What about the debt side? Student loan debt exceeds $1.7 trillion. It's tripled since 2007.
Not tell me about student loan. Me hate student loan with a passion.
Gen Z is paying an average of $526 per month in student loan payments, which is nearly double the overall average. And 84% of Gen Z with student debt say they've delayed major life decisions because of it. And a Bank of America survey found that more than half of Gen Z adults say they don't make enough money to live the life they want. Which, to be fair, if the measurement is for people to live the life that they want, that can be kind of an ambiguous thing. For some people, the life they want may be getting married, buying a house, having kids, and building a family. And for others, it might just be becoming the #1 Fortnite player in the world. And obviously there's a bit of a difference between the difficulty and respectability of those two things. Which I don't want to hate on building a family, but becoming the #1 Fortnite player in the world takes a lot of strategy, discipline, and focus, while raising an iPad kid takes something. For the longest time though, adulthood felt like a step forward. It felt like a kind of promotion. Moving out meant gaining independence, gaining stability, and gaining a sense of responsibility and freedom. Now, moving out means you're pretty much losing any sense of stability that you have. You're taking on more risk than the...
If you move out, you have to just want to say, yeah man, I have to go and go for a couple of months straight, you know. Probably living in a car if you could even afford a car to begin with. Oi!
Leaning Tower of Pisa. And there's a lot of risk going on in that Pisa. It can feel like you're building your life on the San Andreas fault line, and Dwayne Johnson is not going to come and save you this time. Over time, adulthood became way more expensive while wages stayed flat. And when things start to get more expensive but earnings don't go up, people don't progress because they can't. But here's the thing. If money was the only constraint that Gen Z was facing, you'd expect them to be complaining a lot. They definitely would be complaining a whole bunch, but they would still be functional. You might think that the milestones are delayed, but the ultimate outcome would be the same. But instead, we're feeling that something else is going on. Something that's harder to give a name. Something's happening that's deeper than money. Well, if you look back to the ye old days of education, it seems like schools have given us a clear path to follow. Graduate high school.
School just want your money. Well, at least university. Yeah, I just see them start chop at university. Them not teaching in a primary and high school. And then university them start taking money. Well, nowadays, me they learn things in primary school and high school. I feel like my year and the year will go after me. I probably like you get the most sensible people out of the year there. Everything after that, you have to just pick and choose because you're off the opinion nowadays.
Go to college, get a degree, get a job in your field, hate your job, get another job. And now, if I were to put it in the most elegant and scientific terms I can think of, the path is super dumb and super annoying. The World Economic Forum reports that the job market is changing so fast that half of today's workers will need to reskill within the next 5 years. That means that the skills and other things that you learn in college might be completely useless by the time you graduate. Meanwhile, the average amount of time Gen Z keeps a job is 2.3 years, which is the shortest of any generation. And it's not because they're lazy, good-for-nothing swamp rats, even though they're
Them not pay you. Them not pay you nothing. So you don't want to do it for long. You probably can't even leave. You have to quit. You have to find somewhere else. Why?
maybe a level of truth to that, but it's because the jobs themselves are unstable. Because companies lay people off and then post the same position 6 months later. It seems like the old way jobs work is no longer the way current jobs work. It's like we laid off the good job market. I tried to make a joke there. I'll let you guess how that went. Psychologist Jeffrey Arnett calls this period emerging adulthood, and he classifies this as a new developmental stage that didn't exist a few years ago. A period from roughly 18 to 29 years old where people are no longer adolescents and haven't stabilized into traditional adult roles either. But here's a big difference between Gen Z and previous generations before us. Previous generations had constraints that forced them into decisions. Economic necessity pushed people into jobs, social pressure pushed them into marriage, limited options made choices more clear. And now Gen Z has more options than any generation in history. More career paths, more lifestyles, more things to do. We probably consume more information in a single day than a peasant from the...
I feel like what we have to go do is we have to go just treat life like a business. You know, in our entrep class, them say, the first 3 year of business, you just focus on the business, you know, you invest, blah, 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 blah. You make it grow. I guess you have in a after school or in a like college period, if you don't go to college, just find one something and just invest everything in it for like 3 years. Keep your head down, work 3 years. Something must come out of it, dog. If nothing come out of it, then just give up. Just give up, dog. You work on something for 3 years, nothing come out of it, just give up. I'm not ever go. Yeah, just call it a life. But try that first. Try it. 3 years, focus on that one thing there. Work, head down. You're not thinking about making the money, you just build something. If I learning a skill, if I creating something, I just work. Something must come out of it. 3 years, come on, man. If you don't get it in a 3 year, or if you not start the results in a 3 years at least, then you just call it a life. Yeah, that's it. I feel like I that the move, dog. I feel just, yeah. If you feel sit down and look for all the things then where I go hold your back on this and that, you're not go start. Wait, name something the paralysis. I don't remember the word, but you can look up that whatever paralysis. Analysis paralysis. But anyways, yeah, continue video.
The 1500s consumed in a lifetime. I genuinely don't know if a farmer from the 16th century could even handle something like Italian brain rot. It would probably send him into a coma. And it's crazy too because you think this endless amount of options would actually make things easier, but in a sense, this massive amount of abundance has started to create a sort of paralysis. When there's no...
I said. Brilliant student. You can tell you say my year and year after me, how we get the last school. How we get the last school. I'm not telling a lie. But yeah.
Your path, every choice feels like a slot machine. Every choice feels like you might be making the wrong decision. There's a concept in psychology called learned helplessness. In the 1960s, Martin Seligman, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I tried my best, so maybe my best wasn't enough, I don't know. Martin Seligman ran experiments showing that when effort consistently fails to produce results, animals and people stop trying. Now apply that to Gen Z's experience. They watched their parents or older siblings do everything right during the 2008 recession and still lose jobs, lose homes, and lose security. They watched COVID ruin career plans overnight. They watched student debt become an endless pit with no clear escape. They watched the housing market become pretty much impossible to get into. And believe me, I still have not forgot that Duncan was clearly the best in the 2007 season of Total Drama Island and still didn't win. Is that another obscure reference or a totally fun and relatable one? Only time will tell. More than 2 in 5 Gen Z don't believe that their generation is set up for success. On one hand, they feel responsible for their futures, which they should, but on the other hand, they feel completely powerless to change it. The gap between "this is your responsibility" and "but you can't actually afford anything" creates a weird kind of psychological difficulty. It creates a disturbance in the force, if you will. 36% of Gen Z has given up on the idea of ever owning a home. Not delayed it, they've totally given up. In many cases, I would argue that this sense of hopelessness doesn't come from failure, but it comes from Gen Z putting in all this effort and not seeing any results. I mean, at the end of the day, you can, generally speaking, recover from failure, but it's much harder to overcome the innate belief that putting in effort is pointless and won't get you anywhere. But can Gen Z adapt to this new world?
Can we?
I want to share a stat with you that I found pretty interesting, and it actually gives me a sense of hope. Over 70 million Americans now participate in freelance work, which is 36% of the total workforce. Full-time independent workers more than doubled from 13.6 million in 2020 to 27.7 million in 2024. 52% of Gen Z is freelancing, and that means that they are the largest generation in the gig economy. And it's not because traditional jobs failed them or they weren't able to get traditional jobs, although that may be the case in a lot of situations, but it's because they're building something different. They're not waiting for permission. They're not following some random path that their school counselor laid out for them. They're building alternative paths, remote work, side hustles, creative careers, unconventional timelines. You can literally make money just from dancing on TikTok, or you can also make money just from people watching you eat food, which is crazy. That is a crazy thing to say. People are paying you to watch you eat food. You can practically start a successful business with nothing but a phone. So I don't think our current world is awful, but it is different. So what does this mean for Gen Z? I already know there's gonna be people who saw the title of this video, only watched 2 seconds of it, and then try to argue against everything I said in this video just by repeating the things that I said, because they didn't watch the video. Click on my videos just to comment how much they disagree when they didn't even watch the video.
Nobody didn't disagree.
It's my favorite thing ever. This isn't a video about hating on Gen Z. This is a video. It's my favorite thing ever. This isn't a video about hating on Gen Z. This is a video about our system. Gen Z grew up in a world where old rules stopped working, where the milestones that defined adulthood became financially impossible for many people, where the career ladder got shorter and more dangerous, where comparison became infinite and constant. And I don't think it's necessarily that we're failing, but we're learning how to navigate it. And that's not to say that everything that we're doing or everything that we're trying to do is great or even good, but it's just a symptom of us trying to navigate this new world. And maybe the milestones were never actually the point. Maybe they were just synonyms for stability and progress. And if the old ways don't work anymore, that doesn't mean that progress is impossible. It just means there are different ways of achieving it. And if the old ways don't work, that doesn't mean that you're behind. It might just mean that you're building something different.
Okay. Alright, so, let me fix up. I'll give you anything already. 3 years. Every if you have the time, but 3 years. Give it something you all. That's something they are focused on for 3 years. 3 years, just that alone. That for 3 years. And if nothing come out of it, just call it a life, as I said, But 3 years. Don't give up it. Just don't focus on the news and them thing there. 3 years on the one thing there. If it's a skill, school, you have to do something very, very sure a job out of school too. Not go to school then school, a skill, I don't know if I said that already. But yeah, something like that. Cause the analysis paralysis, it a go kill you. It a go just making a do nothing. So yeah, just 3 years, focus, and you must get something out of it. If you don't get nothing out of it, call it a lie. But that was the video. Yeah, that was the video. Tell me what you think. You know I grew up. You know say most of you probably Gen Z. You know I grew up. You know find a work yet. You know getting a work on anything. They make me get the link. Cause boy, let me Gen Z out too. I don't know if I go grow up financially yet.